I'm disabled and called my spouse a liability after he left our front door open, wrecked my car, and streams all day while I take care of our daughter and everything else. Nathan, my 37M spouse, and I have been together for 8 years. Since 3F was born, I haven't trusted Nathan with anything, no matter how minor. A semi-truck driver fell asleep and turned my automobile into scrap metal with me inside when I was 19. I glow like a Christmas tree for TSA and physically impaired on good and bad days because of my metal. Due to my future wheelchair needs, I bought a house and retrofitted it with part of my settlement check. I enjoy software development and nobody minds if I work from bed on bad days. My hubby is unemployed for 5 years, which was well till our daughter was born. With the settlement money, a paid-off property, and my paycheck, I relished having him here. The majority of home duties fell to him. We pay for weekly and monthly deep cleaning to spend more time together. Like a light switch switched off in his head after our baby was born. He bought the wrong size diapers for our daughter. Undermixed bottles. Put diapers backwards. Exclude poop-covered wipes. Forget cabinet latches. Bringing home the improper socks and shoes for her has forced him to shop 3 times this week. Finally, I ordered the appropriate ones on Amazon. He has helped me fill my weekly pill organizer and spilled new medication on the floor countless times, then not realizing he didn't lift them all. He keeps giving me grapefruit juice to take my medications, which is wrong. He keeps forgetting I can't have dairy and puts milk in my coffee. Or burger cheese. Due is carelessness. He broke numerous of my things. He broke my laptop when he dropped it while packing for a trip. Even after I promised to bring my electronics. We've lost countless spoons and forks to trash. He over-torqued the engine bolt while replacing my car's head gasket, shattering the block and preventing repair at 2 shops. We bought a new car because engine replacement cost $11,000. He hit the garage door a week later thinking he'd press the brakes, not acceleration. He desired a hobby of tic-tacs and streaming. Initially, I supported him. I observed a pattern fast. He was irresponsible with our daughter and me. Nobody whoops his own stuff. He built full sets to stream or make films, left the garage, and left his brain there. It culminated 4 nights ago. He live-streamed building a set. 9 hours non-stop. I worked, left early to pick up our daughter from summer camp, prepared and fed us, and got her ready for bed. He helped put her to bed outside. I told him I needed to work and would be at my office. I asked him to remove the rubbish. Says he will. 2 hours later. The house was warm when I left work. After taking out the trash, he left our front door half open. He returned to the garage with his gaming volume high. Thankfully, our kid was asleep when I panicked because she can get out of bed. She may have toddled out of the house without him noticing. Then I saw a stovetop burner on, at a little pot with nothing within. I didn't cook on the stove that night. I entered the garage and said, "I need you." I told him about the door, and he said I thought I locked it. We checked the camera and he didn't. He planned to prepare ramen but forgot about the burner. The still hot pot was placed in the sink on top of our daughter's favorite plastic plate. Has been ruined. I did overreact and yell what you're doing. He realizes his mistake and removes the pot from our daughter's plate, straight to the countertop. Grab it fast and run it under water to chill it. Tell him I can't tonight. I can't handle him. Taking my medicines and sleeping. A cup comes from the cupboard, lays it directly on the burning burner. Limit reached. Crying began. He kept claiming it was fine, things happen, it's just an accident, and he was weary from streaming. Why am I crying? Just a cup. This can be replaced. I became angry and stated I'm a liability. Not a partner, he said. What the fuck does that mean? I shouted that I can't trust him on anything, that I must always monitor him like a child, always paying for his mistakes. I usually get fucked over when I'm careless and trust him to be an adult. I then said I no longer regard you as a partner. My checkbook has another liability, you. He stormed out of the kitchen and went to bed. I informed my mother via phone. She thinks it's stress and offered to keep our daughter for a week so we could make a decision without her. It was a shit to term my husband a liability, she says. In the morning I informed my husband my mom would pick up our kid from summer camp and monitor her for a week. That was our last interaction after he said all right. His friends and he play games, make tic-tacs, and stream food in the garage all day. He's had DoorDash delivered to the garage. Day after day, he won't be in my room. Despite my messages asking to chat or find a solution, he's left me on read. He ignores me if I enter the garage but apologizes to his buddies or viewers and demutes his mic when the commotion ceases, before the explosion. I asked if anything was up. I gently corrected him whenever he made a mistake so our daughter didn't equate it with wrath. To check for medical issues, I suggested he consult a doctor. He always stated I overreacted, people make errors, and didn't care when the same blunders kept repeating. I tried to explain that his blunders were becoming pricey, but he said, "We can afford it, I adore him, but miss him before we had a child. Someone I could trust. Did I ruin it forever? Was my criticism of his blunders too harsh? Do I miss something? Am I jerk? Comment if her husband uses her money. Voted down. We have a shared account for household costs, but he appears to be using his own money. When he became a stay-at-home husband, I didn't want him to feel financially imprisoned or abused. I also thought about my spouse having to ask for money, permission, or to buy items for himself or not be able to buy gifts privately. The expenditures account receives my paychecks. $300 each in secret accounts, the rest in savings. I think it's his money to spend or save. I reviewed all the responses and revoked his account allotment. I also authorized him on invoices decrease expenses. He managed household responsibilities and maintenance before our daughter was born, so this seemed fair. I understand everyone's unhappiness at me because the arrangement is unfair. His card isn't in my name. Thus I can't cancel it. I stopped Friday deposits and all future deposits. Ask if her husband helped before their daughter was born. He contributed after before our daughter was born, and I treasured it. He cooked most of our meals and cleaned dishes, counters, and cat litter. Weekly grocery and bulk store runs were purchased together, but he handled weekday one-offs. He helped me start with scrambled eggs and coffee in bed, so I could take cardiac medication. I never ran the laundry or considered taking stronger pain meds to fold and hang things. He mostly does these, excluding breakfast. Our toddler wants each item of her meal in a distinct little bowl, and our dishwasher can only fit so many IKEA kids' bowls. Dishes occasionally languish overnight, owing to his streaming. He, a tiny forge, practiced till he made his proposal ring, featuring my favorite gemstone, blue opal. His smile and terrible puns and quips are contagious. He learned to cook my favorite dishes in cooking lessons and made a note card recipe book. He sings Aqua, Backstreet Boys, Broadway, Nightwish, and more. Off-key, like the world isn't there. Michael Jackson songs get him dancing after the first note. My first meal after giving birth to our baby wasn't hospital food. He made a deal with my favorite restaurant's owner. If I went into labor at any time, he would message the restaurant owner to cook my favorites and transport them to the hospital. I didn't know until the fragrance hit me. I shed several joyous tears over my food. I like frogs. Every frog he found in our yard was photographed. He developed and vacuum-formed a welcome home sign with our favorite animals. He'd send me photos or bring home cute frog-themed trinkets when he went out. He brought me meals on my terrible pain days while I stayed in bed, on his handmade wooden tray. A carry tray becomes a bed tray. The concept came from hospital food trays. When I can't put on my socks and shoes, he does. To make me feel lovely, he studied several updos and how to curl and flatten hair. He puts my hair up on days I despise my shattered body, brightening my day. I fell in love with him. I miss dearly. He is that sometimes. Now more often, Hess not. Update sorry for slow response. Thanks for the feedback, suggestions, and notes. A week passed. Answering numerous questions before updating. Next 8 paragraphs provide the update. 1. Why doesn't my spouse work? He can easily find work, but we agreed that the salary was never worth the poisonous environment unless he wanted to establish his own business, which he didn't. He repaired and renovated homes. His peers talk of and treated women, female clients, and coworkers was disgusting. He watched numerous female coworkers depart due to sexual harassment. It disgusted him when salespeople and adjusters exploited women. Selling inferior, useless services for more is a thing. If he spoke, his hours would be slashed until he left. He quit one position on the first day when his boss left a screaming message for not selling refrigerant to a young black couple who didn't need it. He has evidence and reported various employers to the state labor board. Check back. To our knowledge, nothing happened. He worked in factories and warehouses after leaving the crafts. Both severely punished him for needing medical leave. No worker protection until FMLA, unpaid, which takes a year to qualify for. Yes, walking away from a paying job with your middle fingers raised is a privilege. I've done the same several times, but I'm content where I am since it's not toxic. I'm successful and our company has a no-penalty, unlimited paid sick medical leave policy that all management enforces. Leaders who punish leave are fired, a company unicorn. Without finding another unicorn employer who won't penalize him for needing time off for me, or our daughter. Like when daycare closed for a week due to an RSV outbreak, he's out of the workforce until I stop working or our child is old enough to not need constant monitoring. Finally, even though I'm disabled, my salary is over double his highest. Without salary reductions for time off, it's not financially viable to change working partners. Is my hubby famous or makes money from TikTok? No. His lives average 6 viewers. His Twitch has 3 followers. Instead of a $1,099, he showed me that head received $6 from TikTok Live presents when we completed our taxes. Nothing from Twitch. He has about the same viewership as last year. 3. Why do we have a weekly maid, summer camp, and part-time childcare for our daughter? I despise one partner working 40 hours a week while the other handles household tasks, child rearing, care, enrichment, and socialization. Basically being on call 24/7. I couldn't imagine putting those demands on someone I love and appreciate. If my husband conducted all the childcare activities and field trips, his evenings and weekends would be filled with domestic responsibilities I couldn't physically help with. Weekly housekeeping prevents cleaning paralysis, where minor mistakes become monstrous tasks and you don't know where to start, as we adjusted to having a child and toddler. The monthly deep clean and organizing were self-care. After turning 3, our kid entered part-time daycare. Before then, my partner was the primary caretaker, making weekly housework more beneficial in preventing chaos. 4. The allowance. Yes. Even though my husband was unemployed, I wanted him to have money. I've read so many instances of non-working spouses, primarily women, being financially mistreated or unable to leave marriages because they didn't have private savings. Maybe I've been on social media too long. Should I have stopped it sooner when our dynamic got unbalanced? Yes, I own it. 5. As for what happens if we divorce, the house and settlement balance are in a separate trust that my lawyer cannot access. My paperwork indicating his licenses and certs aren't expired, and my ongoing medical bills make it unlikely that a judge will order alimony. That should answer most background inquiries. I left work Friday to the fragrance of cooking. I left work to see my spouse plating dinner. He requested dinner conversation. Yes, I read Reddit comments. Because he can see it, I won't erase or edit my writing about him. He stated he'd spent the last day thinking about how horrible it could be to present so many medical diagnosis recommendations as reason and justification. Not ADHD, he said. Growing up, his mom sought to get him diagnosed with ADHD by many doctors since she was hooked to opiates and Ritalin. She convinced him, thus he got 2 opinions as an adult. Her addiction wasn't revealed till his mid-20s. After realizing his mom was using him for medications, he sought therapy. He stated he'd see a psychiatrist again, but he doesn't think he's ADHD or autistic. However, he suspects depression. If not sad, he will ask about other medical options to soothe my worry or rule out a severe issue. He seemed sincere, yet something he said stuck with me. Seeing my hurt gaze, he joked and apologized. Since he loved and married a medically sick person, knowing our existence together would be abnormal. Everyone saying his brain is wrong must be right. He also said that he drank too, much on his stream the night he left the door open, the pot on, and ruined our child's favorite dinner. Would closely observe that. In recent nights he filled his wine bottle with grape juice to look like a drunk Viking, although he was sober. He promised to continue. I was surprised to see the new Deadpool movie after supper. He checked each theater's limited edition popcorn buckets, so we didn't go to our usual. Now I have the baby Deadpool popcorn and drink holder. The next day we discussed how our family dynamic deteriorated. The small things have totaled up. I think apologies involves transformation. If you apologize verbally but keep doing the same thing, I don't care. And that he didn't realize how often he made the same mistakes. Sunday we discussed short and long term. Scheduling his own doctor visits must change immediately. Timelines for expectations. He pledged to stop using our spending account for repairs he caused. He'll use his allowance, on which we spoke. I reinstated deposits for $50 per paycheck. He advised keeping it that way until he's paid off the garage and car repairs from earlier this year. He claimed it will take longer to redeem the cost of damaging my last vehicle's engine, but he'll try. Yes. I notice red flags. Love bombing. Despite numerous chats, not knowing how often. Thinking verbal apologies are the last step in apologizing and not realizing that repeating the same mistake is the same as never apologizing. He will read this, I know. Do I think this is settled and we will be a lovely married pair till one of us dies? Not really. Full offense to husband for now. Possible resolution? Maybe. My spouse knows he has a lot to mend and a short time frame to do it. That later in life, our daughter would learn that having true accountability can steer a ship back on course. Accepting accountability is the proper thing to do even if you don't achieve the result you expected, or love alone isn't enough. He finally read the post, so kindly interpret my words. If not obvious, last 4 words of previous 4 paragraphs. Comments. I'm ready to rumble. Given your medical issues have affected his capacity to work, neither of you appear very interested in being a partner, and your views on alimony and money, I hope he looks out for his own financial interests. I'm seeking a relationship. I'm supportive and pay for help, housework, and a part-time daycare that's now a summer camp, and ensuring he has his own money to spend. My medical problems affect his capacity to work, which would weaken his alimony case because he wouldn't need a unicorn position with unpenalized PTO if we break up. Would I still assist him land semi-softly? Most likely. A judge is less likely to obligate it, I've heard. Upon needing a spine and talking to her husband to mend matters. Oh, I wish I could grow a spine to replace the one kept together by duct tape, screws, rust, and vibrations. I'm aware that he'll panic in the next month if there's a refreshing but brief shift. Sorry people dogpiled you before. But you are wrong to assume I want to verify that my spouse is truly choosing to suck his proof that I intend to continue living like this. After a week, your 2 posts had more followers than his streaming trash combined. I can't believe he couldn't hold a job due to his poisonous workplace, but that's just me. Your point is valid. Unfortunately, hazardous workplaces exist. He presented the labor board with facts I saw. Before everything went wrong, he was a great house husband. Sad he wasted it. Unless my career industry unexpectedly drops salaries, I can retire in a few years.